In this short presentation, I'm going to talk about the engaged learner and creating engaging learning environments. And the reason why this is important for us in designing online courses is because we need to think about those things that we can do to make our course more engaging before we actually sit down and lay it out. And it's a little different for different subjects, so you have a different approach to some of the different aspects of engagement. So let's talk about it now, and then we'll go ahead to figure out what it's going to look like in our own course. Strong defines the engaged learner as driven by success, curiosity, originality, and relationships. And I think they did it this way so it created the acronym SCORE. So we'll stick with the acronym SCORE for right now, but keep that in the back of your mind. Success really is an understanding in the engaged learner of where they are in the process, how well they're doing, what they need to do better next time, etc. Curiosity, of course, is a creative sort of approach to assignments and experimentation, etc., that engaged learners partake in. They kind of thrive on this sense of curiosity, and all of us know learners that are like that. Originality, also about creativity, but students want to have an ownership over the classes that they're in. They want to have ownership over their work, over the ideas that they're dealing with, over the concepts that they come up with, and really also over how they present their ideas to everyone else. Finally, relationships is kind of an essential goal because students are social and learning is a social activity, and we all want to have and develop relationships as we go through an instructional course. I have to add that I think an important relationship that we sometimes forget about is I do think students want kind of almost a peer relationship with us, their teachers. They want us to see them as doing well in our discipline, as succeeding in something that we're already experts in, and they want really to be our peer. And so that type of relationship is also important to students. There are some factors that contribute to a culture of engagement, and I'm going to go through these really quickly, but here they are. Obviously, we want our activities to be of value to the learner. We want them to be able to connect it to their lives, to connect it to what they know already. We want them, as mentioned before, to have a sense of ownership of the experience, that not only that they're proud of their work and they take ownership of their own work, but they also feel like their ideas are valued and that their ideas are reflected in the direction of the course. And that's an important thing to think about. There are certainly a lot of opportunities for collaboration. In fact, we can include collaborative work in every unit that we create, particularly our online units, but in any of our units that we create has a collaborative element, and we need that to happen. Open communication, we talked a little about this we talked a lot about it in the last module, but this notion of presenting the instructional objectives and then our activities presented as a function of those instructional objectives, or a way by which our students reach those objectives. And we need to communicate with that to the students, and they need to understand why they're doing things and why they're creating things, and what the purpose of the design was that has led them to whatever the work at hand is. Of course, we want to have ample opportunities for creativity. We want our students to approach every problem creatively. We want them to develop creative products. We want to give them choices in how they present their ideas to everyone else. So this emphasis on creativity. Student thinking as well. We want to have as many different avenues as we can for students to really see how they're thinking and how their thinking is developing over time. An engaging environment would also include a place for reflection where students can kind of step out of the main flow of instruction and spend some time really sort of hashing out their own ideas and maybe using it to start them off in a different direction or further along in the same direction of thought or research. Finally, students want to know how they're doing, and we need to create ample opportunities for them to get evaluation information back from us, but also from themselves. They need to evaluate where they are, how they're doing. They want to see themselves progress all the time. And this idea of giving students opportunities to succeed and to see that success as pushing them toward their goals. Jane McGonigal, the game designer, a very interesting scholar and presenter, talks a lot about engagement, and as gaming really represents so much about what makes for an engaging environment. And it's very interesting, and it's a lot of the same topics. She presents them this way as everyone has a need to achieve, to do better, to progress, and even this notion of competition, which I didn't mention in the earlier part of this talk, but it's certainly there. These social interactions and she distinguishes between formal and informal social interactions. And this very important one of immersion. And although, gamers immerse themselves in a role, they kind of get really deep into their roles sometimes, but it's something that is attractive to people. It keeps them going. It keeps them moving through the game. And in instruction, it's the same thing, that we can immerse ourselves in a role as well. Maybe it's from a particular perspective around an issue. Maybe it's just as a historical figure or whatever. And students want those experiences. I include this this model of the understanding map. I had a better version of it somewhere else, but I like this one just because of the way they presented it. And so I gave you both versions of this model, but this is from Project Zero and Professor Ron Richard. But in any case, there are these different types of thinking moves, and if we create our activities to help us along with some of these thinking moves, we're creating an engaging environment. And I present it to you. I won't go through all of them, but you know what these are. You can take a look at this on your own. A couple final considerations. Again, just remember that the success, curiosity, originality, which I can't say, and relationships. We want to have all these different opportunities that we talked about in the previous slides, specifically for consistent feedback. We also want to have reflection. We want to have plenty of opportunities for really good, strong, authentic experiences, for students to be creative, to work in groups, and as always, to emphasize student thinking. This list could be a lot longer, I think, but I think almost anything else I think of would fit into this list. So we'll leave it at that. But what we need to do now is consider what engagement looks like in our discipline, in our courses, for our students. And though it may fall under one of these headings we've talked about, it certainly may look a little different depending on the class. And so this is the kind of thing we want in the back of our mind when we sit down to lay out a course online. To tell you the truth, you know and I know we do that when we lay out any type of class. But for our purposes today, that's where we are, how we'll structure our online course. Anyway, I hope this is helpful to you. As always, I go way longer than I probably need to, but thank you for listening.